So the whole point of science is to understand the natural world. Now, okay, let me go ahead and give you your point. Okay, so Isaiah, let's go with, here we go, who we're going to go with. Let's go with Arturo Ramos. Arturo Ramos, tell me about the natural world. What have we learned about the natural world? Is Arturo Ramos here? I don't think so, huh? Let me make sure. Let me take the attendance off. So Ramos. Oh, there he is. Okay, perfect. Okay, all right. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's pick somebody else. Let's go with Cynthia. Is Cynthia here? Cynthia here? Cynthia here? I don't think Cynthia's here either. So let me turn her off. Perfect. All right. Okay, when people are absent, that gives you more points. Angeles, tell me about the natural world.
They have living and non-living things.
Excellent job, right? So that is the natural world. The natural world, okay, is made up of living, okay, and non-living things. Very good. Non-living things. Excellent job, right? So that's what we've learned so far. So science, it's about understanding the natural world, but really when we break it down a little further, it's about understanding living and non-living things, okay? Now, go ahead and tell me, Nicholas Cantu, what are living things made out of? Do you know? Do you remember?
Cells, right?
Very good. Living things are made out of cells. Excellent job, right? Okay, and today you guys are going to design an experiment in which you are going to be working with plants. And plants are made out of cells, plant cells specifically. Okay, so good job on that, Nick. All right, so now let's continue. Juan Gomez, go ahead and tell me, okay, what are cells made out of?
They're made out of bigger molecules.
Good, bigger molecules. What's the fancy name for
that? It's like macro.
Very good, macromolecules. Very good. So that's something that's very important. And notice why your vocab is so important, because it just continues to come up and again. Okay, now, okay, raise your hand if you can tell me what this is right here. Tell me if you can tell me. Raise your hand. I'm looking at for my digital hands, not real hands. Eileen Rodriguez, you're the first one. What is this right here?
Wait, I can't see your screen. DNA?
Very good. DNA. Excellent job. So, okay, so let me go ahead and give her, where's Rodriguez? Oh, there she is. Very good. And Eileen, okay, just like Eileen said, this is DNA. This is a macromolecule. This is one of the macromolecules used to form a cell that is needed to make a cell. Now, macromolecules are made up of smaller things. Okay, what are those smaller things? Let's go with, okay, Emily Gonzalez. What are macromolecules made out of? What do you think? You there, Emily?
Yeah.
What is it? What are macromolecules made out of? Going once?
Matter.
Oh my God, Emily. Come on, girlfriend. Come on. You're losing points. Those are easy extra credit points, girl. Angelica Tejada, what are macromolecules made out of?
Atoms?
Oh my God, another one.
I know.
Let's go with Mia. Mia, what are macromolecules made out of? So, Noah, go ahead and tell us what macromolecules are made out of.
Molecules.
Very good, molecules, man. So remember, Lego structure. Got it? So you guys got to remember that living things are made out of cells, but those cells are made out of these big things, and these big things are made out of these smaller things called molecules, right? Now, let's go ahead and let me give Noah Galindo his extra credit. He's just earning extra credit. So easy. Okay, how about Brian Fortiz? What are molecules made out of?
Atoms.
Atoms, very good. Atoms, exactly. And now tell me, okay, Brian as well, go ahead and tell me what are non-living things made out of? What do you think, Brian? What is it?
Molecules?
Molecules, very good. So in essence, everything is made out of molecules and everything is made out of atoms. Atoms are the smallest things that exist in this world for our intents and purposes. Okay, got it? And so you guys need to understand this because this flow chart explains to you the natural world. And as scientists, we are trying to understand the natural world. But in order for us to understand it, okay, we really have to study what? What do scientists study in the natural world? Let's go with Adam Garcia. What do scientists study in the natural world?
They study the relationships between living and non-living things.
Very good. Relationships. Very good. Scientists study relationships, all right, in the natural world. That's what scientists do. So I'm gonna put a big heart like that to remind you of that. In biology, like I saw, this is a misconception that I saw in some of your journal entries. In biology, you can study the relationship between a living thing and non-living things, but you can also study the relationships between two living things, okay, two different living things, like humans and plants. What's the relationship? What do we know there, right? And it depends what type of scientist you are. For example, if you're a chemistry person, right, and you study chemistry, you're studying relationships between non-living things, all right, two non-living things. You're studying molecules and how they interact with one another. If you're physics, in physics, we study relationships that have to do with non-living things, but how those non-living things interact with each other, right? And so it depends what type of scientist you are, okay? But ultimately, they all study relationships. That is the most important thing. And today, you guys, you are going to be scientists today. You are going to be Dr. Garcia, and Dr. Adam Garcia today is going to study a relationship, okay, in which he's going to use plants, okay, as one of the things that he's going to be studying, okay. So but we have to understand, so let me go ahead and talk a little bit more about that. Any questions, concerns on this? Any questions, concerns? Any questions? All right, so let's just recap here. Let's just recap, okay? Isaiah Castro, what are you going to be studying today? Isaiah Castro, what are you going to be studying today? Okay. All right, no, nothing there. All right, how about Alexi Diaz, what are you going to be studying today? Well, A starts with the R.
Oh, relationships.
A relationship today. Very good. And so you guys are going to have your virtual lab today, and you guys are going to use your lab equipment to study a relationship, which of your choice, by the way. All right, so let's go ahead and let's continue here. So the next thing that I'd like to talk about is why do scientists design experiments? All right, so that's a different way of asking something that we've already said. So Brandon Ortega, why do scientists design experiments?
To get data.
To get data, but why do they want to get data?
To see if the hypothesis is right.
But why do they have a hypothesis in the first place? What do you think, Braden? What do you think?
Because there's something wrong.
I wouldn't say because there's something wrong. Give it another chance, Braden.
I don't know.
Oh, the I don't know. You know, the I don't know is like, to me, it's like the kiss of death. Like I'm like, okay. Don't ever be afraid to say something. Emily, what do you think? Why do scientists design experiments? Why? What do you think, Emily?
So they could either support or refute a hypothesis.
Yeah, but even more simpler than that. And we've already talked about it. Angeles, what do you think?
To have a hypothesis for the natural world.
Say that one more time.
To have a hypothesis for the natural world.
I heard a key word there. I heard that. Okay. I like that you said natural world. That's part of it. Okay, but I'm missing something here. Okay, why do scientists design experiments? Okay, let's go with Brian Fortes.
To understand the natural world.
Okay, to understand, to understand what? Okay, so that was good, Fortes. You were almost there, right? Let's go with Isaiah Villa. To understand what? To understand a what?
To understand if the hypothesis is right.
No. What are scientists trying to understand? Let's go with Efren. To understand a what?
What are they trying to understand? They're trying to understand on what they are observing.
Jamel, what are they trying to understand? All right. Okay, Eileen, tell them.
The relationship.
Very good. The reason why they conduct and design an experiment is to understand a relationship in the natural world. That's the whole point. That's the whole point. I can't stress that enough. I just asked you the same question in a different way. Okay, you guys have to have that. You have to commit that to yourself, okay? Because if you once you do, you're going to understand science really well. So now, so the first thing that you guys are going to do today is you guys are going to do step one. And step one is to choose a relationship that you're going to study. Okay? You guys are going to choose a relationship. Now, okay, Efren, okay, I need to give you points. I actually, is there a Sergio in this class? I don't think so, right? Is there a Sergio in here? I'm pretty sure no, right? Okay, so how about, let's go with Efren. I'm going to try to give you some points. Efren, how many, when you think of the word relationship, what comes to mind?
Like bonding, like together.
Like how many people are in a relationship usually?
Two.
Two, right? And so that's what I want you to think about. So today, the first step that you guys are gonna do is you gotta pick two things. Okay, now, what are those two things? Okay, so now every scientist, every good scientist studies relationships. A relationship, all right? One relationship at a time. And in every relationship, there's always two things. Now, Osvaldo, what is this at the bottom that I drew remind you of?
A graph.
A graph. Now, what is this axis called right here?
The x-axis.
Very good. And what's this axis over here?
The y-axis.
Very good, right? And so now today, before you design your experiment, you have to choose your relationship. What do I mean by that? You have to choose your X and you have to choose your Y. Your X is called the independent variable. Okay? Your X is always your independent variable. And your Y, can anybody go ahead and tell me what your Y would be? What do you think your Y is called? Let's go with Noah. Go for it. What's the Y then? What do you think, Noah? Oh no, he just, yeah, what do you think? Oh no, he went in. Never mind. Who thinks, okay, who thinks they know what the Y is? What is it?
Dependent variable.
The dependent variable. Very good. Who said that?
Angela.
All right. Angelus is just rocking all kinds of points right now. My goodness. Okay, like she's at 3 points right now, y'all. Okay, so yes, you're very right. The Y is your dependent variable. Very good. Very good. And so the reason why I talk about X and Y is because math, okay, math is what allows us to figure out the relationship. It's the math, okay? It's the graph that your data is what's going to give us an understanding of this relationship, all right? So the very first thing that you're going to do, step one, okay, is to figure out your relationship that you're going to study. What is your X? What is your Y? All right? Now, step number two. Step two, all right? Once you figure out what your X and your Y is going to be, now step number two is you're going to come up with a hypothesis. All right? What is your hypothesis? That is step number two. All right? So you guys as scientists today, you're going to pick your X and your Y. You're going to pick your relationship. And then you're going to give me a hypothesis. All right? You're going to give me a hypothesis. All right? Now, I'm going to give you an example of what I mean to make this a little bit more concrete. All right? So here's the relationship that I would study right now. Okay? Relationship. This is my lab, right? I'm in my lab. This is my lab here. This is the relationship that I want to study. I want to study how food, okay, food, that's going to be my X. How does food, what is the relationship between food and a person's weight? What is, if this is my X, what's the weight? What is the weight?
Your Y.
My Y, very good. See that? And that's what I mean about choosing your X and your Y. Every good scientist is always working in this framework. What's my X and how does my X affect my Y? How does food affect a person's weight? That's what I'm choosing to study in my lab, right? So that's how this works. So you guys are going to have your own virtual lab and you guys are going to go ahead and figure out what is the X that you want to study and what effect do you want to, are you trying to look for? Right? Now, let me explain to you how this works even further, right? Now, hypothesis, right? Now I have my relationship. That's my step one. All right? I have my relationship. Now, my step two is going to my hypothesis, right? So now, for this, I'm going to consult Dr. Let me see, who's my doctor that haven't got any points? Okay, Dr. Isaiah Villa. Dr. Villa, where are you? Raise your hand. Raise your hand, Dr. Villa. Dr. Villa. Paging Dr. Villa. Raise your hand, Dr. Villa. Dr. Villa. Oh, Dr. Villa can't get any extra credit because he's not raising his hand. Okay, so let's see. Maybe another doctor. Dr. Desiree Signs. Are you here, Dr. Desiree Signs? Okay, good. Now, doctor. Okay, now you're a doctor, right? You're researching, all right? Now, when we think of food, right? When you look at a package, right, Desiree, on the back of a food package, and you read the nutrition label, what do you usually see? What's the first thing people look at?
The calories or the sugar amount or something.
Very good. The calories, right? That's always, that's usually the biggest number on that nutrition, right? Because food gives us energy in the form of calories, right? So my X is going to be the food, and I'm going to measure it in terms of calories. All right? So weight. Desiree, how much do you weigh?
Wait, what?
How much do you weigh?
Like 98.
98 what? Inches, 98 centimeters.
Pounds.
See, that's why units are so important. That's why units are so important. A number does not mean anything without units. Does that make sense? So I'm gonna measure my weight, the weight of a person in pounds. That's why, remember, all your teachers, all your math teachers, you got to put units on your graph. You got to put units on your graph. That's why. Because numbers without units don't mean anything. Okay? So on the y, that's my weight. And I'm going to measure it in lbs. Does that make sense? In pounds, right? And so now I chose my relationship. Okay, I know my units because as scientists, we're going to measure data. We're going to get data, right? Okay, and now what is my hypothesis, Desiree? What is your hypothesis, Desiree? What do you think is going to happen if we increase the amount of calories a person eats? What do you think is going to happen to their weight?
You're going to gain weight.
Okay, so Desiree thinks that if the calories go up, then the weight is also going to go up. So that's her hypothesis. Okay, the more, if you increase the food, right, then that's going to lead to an increase in weight. That's what I mean by hypothesis. That is what I think is going to happen. Does that make sense? So so that's what you guys are going to do. You're going to pick a relationship, what's your x and your y. Once you figure out what's your x and your y and how you're going to measure this, you come up with your hypothesis. And now that you have your hypothesis, now you can go to step 3. Step 3 is what? Who can tell me what step 3 is? And let me go ahead and give Desiree 2 points here for being amazing. Okay, so here we go. Hold up. All right, here it is. Moises, what is step 3, bud? So I know my relationship. I know what I'm thinking I'm going to get in my data. Now what is step 3, Moises?
Step 3,
starts with a D.
we're gonna find out.
Check it out, Moises. Look, Moises. You ready? Look, everybody look at the screen. Check it out. Don't miss it. Right here, Moises. That's part of the answer. We're going to do what?
Design
Design what?
a graph.
What?
A hypotenuse.
What are we going to design, Emily? What are we going to design?
Experiment.
An experiment. That's right. That's what we're going to design. We're going to design an experiment to see if our hypothesis is correct. Is Dr. Science correct? If you increase the number of calories, will your weight go up? That's what we need to figure out. And we do that by designing an experiment and then conducting that experiment. Okay? That is what we have to do. By designing and conducting our experiment, now what is that going to give us? What is this going to give us? Once we design and conduct our experiment, what are we going to get? Okay, and then hold on, let me give Emily here credit here. Emily, what's your last name, Emily? Oh, I got you. She got it. Mia, what does an experiment give you? When you conduct an experiment, what is it going to give you?
What?
Oh, never mind. Okay, go ahead. Let's go with, okay, Braden Ramirez. What is an experiment? Okay, when you design and conduct an experiment, what will it give you?
Data.
Data, exactly. And that's the point. Because the data, okay, the data we're going to use, and it's going to tell us if we were right. Was our hypothesis, our prediction correct? So now let's make up some data. So you ready, Dr. Science? Okay, pay attention, Dr. Science. Here we go. So what if the data looks like this, Dr. Science? Okay, what if when you look at your data and you graph it, you see that as you increase calories, what happened to the weight?
It became less. I don't.
Very good, it did, because remember, this is right, this is 0, right? So the weight went down as the calories went up.
Down. Oh, up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. This is 0, right? So 0 this way, that's positive. 0 that way, that's positive. So in this case, okay, what was your hypothesis correct? If this was your data and you graphed it from your experiment, is your hypothesis correct?
No.
No, it wouldn't be, right? Okay, but what if the data looked like this? What if the person started at this weight and the weight never changed? Like you increased the how much calories, right? They ate, okay, and their weight never changed. Does this data tell you that your hypothesis is correct?
No.
No, it actually tells you that there's no relationship, and this one tells you that's a negative relationship. Now, the data that we will be looking for is this. As the calories go up, what happened to the weight now? Desiree?
It increased.
Exactly, and this is a positive relationship. So as calories went up, weight goes up. So as a scientist, when we get our data, we're gonna look at our graph, and our graph is going to verify our hypothesis. Does that make sense? If this was her data right here, the orange line, then Desiree, Dr. Science would say, oh man, I was wrong, right? Okay, and maybe she was wrong, maybe because she designed her experiment wrong, or maybe she's completely wrong. Okay, it just all depends. We go back to the drawing board at that point. But if she gets that red curve in her data by after she graphs it, then she knows she was right. She confirmed her hypothesis. Does this make sense to y'all? Give me a yes or a no on the participant window if this makes sense to you guys. Go ahead, do that now. Okay, let me see my yeses and my nos. All right, so I got 14 yeses. Very good. Well, the person that said no, please ask questions. Okay, 17 yeses. Very good. So you guys are going to do the same thing I just did. You are going to go to your lab, okay? And you're going to pick your relationship that you're going to study. What do I mean by that? Pick your X and your Y. Then you're going to come up with a hypothesis, just like I did. Design your experiment, and for homework, you're going to conduct your experiment, read your data, and tell me what your conclusion is going to be, right? Based off your data, all right? So let me go ahead and show you what your lab looks like. Now, here's your agenda. Your agenda is here. If you click lab right here, you're going to go ahead and it's going to take you to your lab. Okay, so notice I'm not logged in, so I want to make sure I log in. Okay, and here it is. There's your virtual lab. So everybody go to your virtual lab. You have 30 seconds. Go. Make sure you log in with your credentials from yesterday. If you were absent yesterday, you need to stick around when we go into breakout rooms, when you guys are designing your experiment on your own, okay? Because you don't, if you guys click on it and you get a timer, okay, it's eventually gonna time out and you don't want that, okay? So this is your virtual lab right here. You have a bunch of equipment, okay? You have, you have water, that's a non-living thing made out of H2O molecules. You have light, that's energy. You have seeds, okay, that you can use, all right? Those are the living things. You have fertilizer, compost. You have a data tab where it's going to, that's where you're going to get your graph, right? That's where you're going to get your data. And remember, your data, your graph tells you the relationship. right? And also you have a little play button. When you hit the play button, that's you're conducting your experiment, okay? And ideally, you're going to have results. Right here, I don't have any results because I haven't done anything in my experiment. Does that make sense? If you want to start over, you can hit rewind. But that's the first piece, okay? Now, let me go ahead and show you what you have to do before you design your experiment. Let me talk about the lab report. So everybody go ahead and go to Google Classroom and open up 9.2 homework design. Go ahead and do that. Go ahead and do that. Homework design, okay? And conduct a planned experiment. All right, so everybody go ahead and do that. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to add and create a Google Doc, just like I did right there. So just like I did, click on add, click on docs. And then once you click on docs, it's gonna create and open a new tab for you. Once you're on your new tab, okay, go ahead and hit the yes. All right, go ahead and hit the yes. All right, once you guys are ready to go and you have your new doc. All right. So let's go ahead and do that. All right. All right, so I see we got 9 people ready with their doc. Make sure we got 10, 11, perfect, great job. Okay, very good. All right, now, once you have your tab, you're gonna have a blank document, all right? Here's what you need to do. Go ahead and title it Plant Experiment Lab Report. Plant Experiment Lab Report, all right? And so here is what you're going to do. First of all, this lab report is due today by midnight. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to type out, pick your relationship. And you're going to tell me what is your X and what is your Y. That's the first thing you need to do as a scientist. You need to figure out what is the relationship that you are going to study. And remember, you're limited by the lab equipment that you have in your lab, right? You only can use the things that are in your virtual lab. Once you figure out what your X and your Y is, you need to make 3 pictures, all right? You need to make 3, you're gonna have to give me 3 pictures, all right? Now, what are you talking about, Rodriguez, 3 pictures? Notice how you have an A, a B, and a C box? You have to set up each box, right, with the things you need so that each one of these boxes gives you data. I want to see what each one of these, how you set up each one of these groups, okay? And then what you do is you take the little picture right here, camera, right? It takes a screenshot for you. You copy the image, and then you go back into your lab report, okay? And you paste it in there, okay? See that? And so I have 2, you're gonna have to have 3. And when I look at your picture, right, that's showing me the design of your experiment. So that's what I'm looking for, guys, okay? Any questions, concerns on that? So you're gonna have 3 pictures, okay, that I'm looking for, all right? So that's what, so make sure you guys have that in mind, all right? So, and then I just messed up my lab report a little bit. All right, so, all right. So let's go ahead and actually, let me just delete, it's not looking good, right? All right, so you're gonna have 2 pictures, right? So, or 3 pictures, all right? So make sure you guys understand that concept, all right? Now, once you have your 3 pictures, that's your design. You designed your experiment. You designed it to give you the data that you're looking for. Then you guys are gonna come up with your hypothesis. Once you have your hypothesis, then, and you designed your experiment, then you can go back to your lab, all right? Then you can go back to your lab and you can hit this play button and conduct your experiment and look at the data that you've created, okay? Okay, so that's the big important piece there, all right? So any questions so far on the first part of your lab report? Any questions, concerns on that? All right, so that is what I'm expecting you to do for the next 10 minutes. What I'm looking from you guys is for you to figure out what your X and your Y is going to be. And I want the 3 pictures side by side so I know what your experiment is going to look like. Okay? I'm going to put you in individual breakout rooms to work. If you guys have questions, jump out of the breakout room and come back to the main session to ask your question. Nobody leave the breakout room, okay? Nobody log off the Zoom, okay, until I bring you back as a group, and then we can finish talking about your lab report. So to clarify, let's go ahead and make sure we're understanding what we're doing. Okay, let's go with Juan, no, not Juan Meza. Let's go with Mia. What's the first thing you're going to do, love? Pick a what?
Pick an X and Y.
What are you gonna pick, Mia?
I'm not sure.
Oh my God, Mia. Okay, let's go back with Juliana Cemental. What are you gonna pick, love?
You're gonna pick your X and your Y.
Very good. You're gonna pick your X and your Y. And Juliana, what are you going to do after?
You're gonna put the pictures of your experiment.
Very good. You're going to design your experiment. Very good. Excellent job. Okay, and then Mia, do you know what you're going to do after that? Okay. Anybody know what you're going to do after that? Raise your hand, your digital hand, if you're ready to go. What are you going to do after you design your experiment? Okay, Brandon Ortega, what are you going to do?
Make a hypothesis.
Exactly. Create your hypothesis, all right? So that's what I want you to do in the next 10 minutes, all right? Okay, any questions on what I'm expecting you to do besides that? All right, so let's go ahead and create these breakout rooms. You're gonna go in. Remember, if you have questions, come back to the main session. Don't call me in. It's easier for you to come out, all right? So here we go. Okay, you have 10 minutes to pick your X and your Y, design your experiment, come up with your hypothesis. All right, go for it. Let's go ahead. So you guys had 10 minutes to pick your X and your Y, design your experiment. So you should have 3 pictures, okay? And I should be able to see in those pictures what your experiment was. And I should be able to see all the little details in your pictures, right? It shouldn't look like mine because mine doesn't give me any data. There's nothing in the pots, right? And so then once you have your design, right? Remember your X and your Y, that's the relationship that you're studying. You should have your hypothesis. So what do you think you're going to see in your data, right? And then what you want to do for homework is in the agenda, there is a sample lab report. If you open that up, you can go ahead and copy the rest of the lab report so you know what I expect you to do. At home for homework, you're going to hit play on your experiment and you're going to let your experiment run. You're going to list your independent variables. So what is that? What is your dependent variable? What are your control variables? So make sure you tell me what that is after you're done with your hypothesis. Make sure you tell me, okay, which one is your control group and which one of these pictures, because remember you have 3. So which of those 3 pictures is your control group? Which of those 3 pictures is your experimental groups? Then you're going to have to paste the graph that you got from your lab. Then you're going to use that graph to tell me about your hypothesis. Was it correct? Yes or no? And explain how you came up with this conclusion. How do you know if you're right or wrong? Okay? Make sure you mention your data because that's how you know. Does that make sense? So for homework, you got to finish this lab report. On the assignment, it actually says to make a video. Don't worry about making the video. Today, all I want you to do is finish the lab report. Any questions on what you're expecting to do for homework?
So again, we're supposed to turn this in by today?
By midnight, yes.
Got it.
All right. Any questions on this? All right, so if you guys don't have any more questions, okay, you are free to go. I will see you guys tomorrow. Be prepared to talk about your lab reports.